All right, folks, welcome aboard. Appreciate you all having me and taking the time after the closing bell here. Hopefully, you just watched the president tour the Federal Reserve with Jerome Powell. Uh, that that looked like a skit from The Office. If you didn't watch that, please, I'm sure the bunch of the clips are going to go viral. That was pretty funny. That was some good comedy. But we're going to talk about Jerome Powell, the Fed, the president, everything, because I'm going to show you a bullish on Merica trade that you should have done at the bottom of the market. You should have done last month. You should have done earlier in the week when I had a free live trade brief. Real quick, let me just give you a little bit of a background about me. My name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Whiz. I'm Matthew to my wife and my mom if I'm in trouble, so you all can call me Whiz. I flew the F-18 Hornet for the United States Navy for 15 years, graduated from Top Gun as an adversary pilot, and deployed to Iraq, Operation Southern Watch, Noble Eagle, and Enduring Freedom. What's that have to do with trading? Everything. When I was on active duty, I taught myself how to trade stocks and options. And as a youngin', this was before Al Gore invented the internet. But I learned that trading is a form of combat, right? Somebody's going to win and somebody's going to get their rear end handed to them. Which side do you want to be on, right? So I started applying everything I was learning as a fighter pilot to my trading, and it worked incredibly well. Having a strategy, implementing tactics, contingency planning, right? Knowing when to get out of a good or bad situation before it got worse. Managing risk. Now, my returns and my trading got so good that when I separated from active duty, I ended up popping up on the radar of one of the largest volatility arbitrage firms, equity options firms in the world, headquartered right there in the Chicago Board of Trade. If you've seen Batman or you've been to Chicago, you know that building right there. That's the CBOT, Chicago Board of Trade. I helped build a hedge fund when I was there. I helped build a retail brokerage some of you might have traded out years ago, called Options House. And I was the managing director of strategy for this $2.5 billion firm. Man, that is a young me, a little chunkier, but a little bit more hair. So I had a blast helping run this $2.5 billion company. And then I started ONN.TV, the Options News Network. We were essentially the CNBC for options, right? Back in the day, John and Pete Najarian, they'd pay lip service to options and give it a little bit of attention. We were 24/7, the Options News Network. It was great. We'd shoot on the floor of the CBO and the CBOT, giving you all a behind-the-scenes look at options trading. I've written a couple books, C-Level to C-Level, going essentially from the cockpit to the trading pit, and then COVID crash, from panic to profit. I show how in about 2.5 weeks we made about $2.5 million, pounding the market into the dirt as the so-called smart money cried. You remember Bill Ackman during the COVID market crash? There was guys crying on CNBC to shut markets down. Do you remember that? Wasn't me, because I was on the other side of all of their bullish trades. I made a $750,000 profit at the open the day the market opened after Donald Trump said, stocks are looking good here. I'd be a buyer of stocks. At the open the next day, the Dow was down 3,000 points, and my puts on the S&P 500 made $750,000. I also have a top-ranked podcast, ranked in the top 2.5% of 3.3 million podcasts. It's called the Max Afterburner Podcast. I strongly recommend you go check it out. What do I talk about? The No Fallen Heroes Foundation. This is my other passion, in addition to teaching people how to trade. Approximately 22 veterans check out every day. They commit suicide. It's an absolute failure. It's a disgrace. 4.5 years ago, if you've ever seen the movie Lone Survivor, I went down to Mexico with Marcus Luttrell, Navy SEAL, one of the founders of Black Rifle Coffee, Jared Taylor, JT, another Navy SEAL veteran, and then a football veteran. His name's Robert Gallery, played for the Raiders, was an All-American in Iowa. And I sat with psychedelic assisted therapy. It saved and changed my life. And I got home and I started the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. And we give healing grants to veterans, first responders, and their family members to go sit with psychedelic assisted therapy. That's a whole separate brief I could give you, folks. The psychedelic space is exploding. maybe if we have some time this afternoon, I'm going to show you the 4 names in the psychedelic space. One of the names is up 60% in a week. You have got to buy the publicly traded psychedelic stocks with both hands, period. This space is exploding with, the MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again, with veterans and psychedelics. I'm telling you, you want to know what the next hottest stock is or sector? It's this, and it's not the next, it's the only, because this world and this country could use some healing. Okay, what's going on? Why now? Why am I briefing you now? A lot of geopolitical uncertainty out there. I am very good friends with General Raisin Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I worked with Raisin about 20 years ago. He's been on the TV a lot after we bombed Iran and the nuclear facilities. So we have war in the Middle East still. We have war in Eastern Europe. We're approaching 4 years of war in Eastern Europe. We have war coming to Taiwan. I guarantee you, in the next 2 years, Xi Jinping will move on Taiwan. How do you know that, Whiz? I listened to Xi Jinping. About 4 years ago, he dressed in his Mao outfit, in his olive drab, military uniform, got in front of the People's Liberation Army and gave them a deadline. He said, generals, admirals in this room, you will be able to invade Taiwan by 2027. And if you don't, you're going to eat a bullet. So we have a lot of geopolitical uncertainty. Real wars, trade wars. Obviously, unless you've been on the other side of Mars for the past 4 or 5 months, we're having trade wars and tariff wars and all sorts of stuff like that. The big, beautiful bill was a big, beautiful disaster as far as out of control debt and spending. The left wing in this country, the right wing in this country are all part of the same bird. If that bill was passed by President Harris, the Republicans would be going bananas. But hypocrisy, the best part about double standards on both sides is they're always on the right side, right? And then obviously the interest rate issue in the Fed. Jerome Powell had his hard hat on. So did Donald Trump a half an hour ago. And Donald Trump smacked him on the back. Jerome needs to be lowering interest rates. And he gave him a big back slap. Funny. It was comical. But I'm going to show you today how to potentially turn panic into profit, right? I love Warren Buffett. Only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked, right? All the people that panicked in, what was it, March, April? Do you remember, again, the smart money? I can't stand when people use that term, especially CNBC. Up next, legendary investor, fill in the blank, or smart money, fill in the blank. Did you hear all those people back here panicking? Oh my God, Trump's going to kill us all. Trade war is going to destroy us. We're going to be in a recession. It's going to be a bear market. Inflation's going to start raging. None of it happened. This was the biggest buying opportunity almost of a lifetime. I'll say almost of a lifetime because I'm not going to say I'm older than people in here, but let's take a look at the turn since the turn of the century. This is the S&P 500, folks. Does anybody see a trend in the S&P 500? Up and to the right. Now, we've had some, here's the global financial crisis, right? Giving waitresses $600,000 home loans with no money down. That was deserved. That's the dot-com boom. What do we have? There's the attack. Oh, there's the scandemic. Where's the 9/11 attacks? Back here. What else do we have? This was the Joe Biden bear market. You know what's funny, folks, is under Joe Biden, by October of 2022, the S&P 500 was down 25%. Those same people that ignored this one were frothing at the mouth that the S&P 500 went down 19% under Trump. It's so funny. But let's take a look at this. I have been trading and investing, folks. Look at the bottom left here. Since 1991, when I was an ensign at Naval Air Station Key West in Florida. Does anybody see a trend in the S&P 500? Look at the top right here. You see that little red circle? That's what everybody was calling the melt. Oh my God, stocks are melting down. Did Did you see this? Did you see that? Did you see these? Did you see those? Folks, I'm going to show you, I call it a bullish on America trade. If you believe the S&P 500 is going to keep moving up and to the right, not in a straight line, I guarantee you and this is a high probability, if the Democrats take the House back in the midterm, historically, that is most likely what's going to happen. The market's going to pull back. Absolutely. It's going to be impeachments. It's going to be subpoena Musk to testify about Doge. It's going to be a clown car in DC, and the market's not going to like it. So we're going to see some market pullbacks. God forbid we get another scandemic. China invades Taiwan. There will be pullbacks in the future like these, but net, we go up and to the right. Another reason, folks, we go up and to the right is because that's what they needed to do. Who's they? The crowd in the Hamptons, folks. Jamie Dimon, Wall Street, Hank Paulson, everybody in the Hamptons, New York, DC needs the market to go up and to the right. Okay? So it's a game, folks. But let's talk about the recent meltdown. Listen to the guy. I don't see it at all. I think this country is going to boom. But as I said, I can do it the easy way or the hard way. The hard way is to do it the way I'm doing it, but the results are going to be 20 times greater. He's already brought in conservative estimates, 100 billion in tariffs, folks. The market is what? Forward looking. Okay, so let's go look at the S&P 500 right now. Here is the near-death experience. Oh my God, we're going to die. Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria, raging inflation, recession, fill in the blank that the bad that all these people were crying about. None of it happened. I told Top Gun Options members down here to mortgage the wife and kids, sell the house, and buy with both hands. And the ones that did, I'm going to show you the trade here in a couple minutes where I called it, are printing money up a couple 100% in a single trade. A new trade that I'm going to do for you today. But we tend to move up and to the right. The market being forward looking is already looking at what? We are closer to interest rate cuts than we are farther away, right? If you go look at the Fed funds futures rate, I think we're about 60 to 70% probability of a rate cut in September. I don't know if we're going to get it. October, it goes higher, and then an end of year December rate cut is way high, 70, 80%. Here's what I'm getting at, is the market looks full. The market ain't looking back, folks. It does not look back. Sometimes it looks too far forward. So the market is already living in, we got a couple rate cuts. The market is already living in Japan trade deal, European trade deal coming. The market is looking forward and saying, we're going to get some interest rate cuts and we are going to get some trade deals. All this volatility is going to be behind us and we're going to rip. That is what I'm here to tell you. Now, I'm also going to, when I start briefing you on the trade, the exact opposite could happen, but I'll show you that. And it's pretty funny because this guy, I remember this day, I grabbed a screenshot of this tweet. I mean, the guy called, love him or hate him, the guy called the market bottom almost to the day. This is a great time to buy. Boing. And the market hasn't looked back. Again, I don't want to get too political. Love or hate the guy, the market's going to rip. Let's talk through some retail investor pain points first. A lot of you don't trade with a plan. I'm going to show you a trade plan in a couple minutes and my SOP, my standard operating procedure. Poor or no risk management. You can't make money if you're losing money. Now, that might sound blindingly, stupidly brilliant. It's the truth. A lot of you don't know how much max risk in the trade, right? You're trading too large and you could get blown out. So we got to talk about risk management. We don't want to buy high and sell low, which is what a lot of retail investors do, or you're trading too large. I tell people, and I've been doing this for 34 years, folks, 90% of trading is emotional. That's why aviators, pilots make pretty damn good traders. Why? We use checklists. We take the emotion out of aviation, out of trading, by staring at a checklist. If this, then that. Do this at this point. Turn this on, eject. So if you can take the emotion out of your trading, you're going to nail it. What do you need to trade successfully? Training. I didn't say education, folks. The world is full of educated derelicts, right? Many of them teach at places like Harvard or Columbia. We take a building block approach at Top Gun Options called Options Weapons School. I'm going to show you that in a little bit towards the end. You need a trade plan, right? That's got a strategy. It's supported by tactics. That's got your risk management and contingency planning on it. And finally, you need a practical application. Training and a plan doesn't mean anything if you don't go practically apply it. And then at the end of today's brief, I'm going to show you how you can join and get access to our live trade briefs, where I practically apply what you've learned in your training and with your trade plan. Okay. And I've been you. How do you know what I need to be successful? I've been you, right? I rose from self-taught retail trader as a young lieutenant out in California, flying the F-18, to managing director of a $2.5 billion Wall Street trading firm. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay. Real quick, before we start trading, markets close. I'm going to start showing you some trades. This is what my squadron looks like. On the left side of that Chinese wall is our training division. Before you put any real capital at risk ever, please know what you're doing. I didn't go read a book on aerodynamics and run out to the flight line and jump in an F-18. That's how you die. Read a book on an F-18, then you go to what? The simulator building. We had these massive buildings with these high fidelity trainers that are almost as good as flying. So open a brokerage account, or if you have a brokerage account right now, it better have virtual trading, right? At E-Trade, the platform I use, they give you 100 grand in monopoly money to train with. Do not ever put any capital at risk unless you know what you're doing. That sounds so blindingly basic. A lot of people don't. So underneath this, you're going to get access today to one or two services at the end. Solo Amazon, where I only trade Amazon. Why? Because it's the most diversified stock on the planet and it prints money. I call it the Death Star. Amazon Air is bigger than FedEx and UPS. Amazon Web Services, AWS, is Microsoft. Amazon Prime is bigger than Netflix. I could go on for the next hour about telling you that Amazon kills and destroys everything it takes over. That's why in that service, we only trade that name. And then Full Throttle. You also get access to that today. On the right side of that Chinese wall, when you're ready to trade real capital, we have a couple investment clubs. One's called the Hunters and one is called Max Afterburner. And that is our exclusive lifetime membership. Okay. Real quick, under the training arm, Full Throttle, you get access to 7 Options Weapons School training sessions and our live trade briefs, where I just said you practically apply what you learned. Okay. OWS, Options Weapons School. We take a building block approach. If you don't know what a call is, you don't know what a put is, you don't know anything, I'm going to teach you 7 steps. Okay. 7 classes. These are all about an hour, hour and a half each to get you up to speed. Okay. Building block approach. You also get access to your manuals. These things are awesome. I reread these sometimes when I'm feeling a little rusty. Hey, need to read up on volatility again. I'll go check this stuff out. Okay. We do a primary live trade brief every 10 a.m. on Tuesday. We do accelerated retirement every 10 a.m. on Wednesday. And then every Monday at 10 a.m. is when that solo Amazon brief is. Okay. Start the week with solo Amazon. We have an app at Top Gun Options where I send out instantaneous alerts. We don't do those text alerts anymore, right? That's so 2015. We use an app where we have a couple threads where you will get your trade alerts. Okay. I'm not going to talk case studies or anything like that because I want to get airborne and start looking at some trades. Okay. Any questions about who I am, what I'm doing, and Top Gun Options? Good. Let's go ahead and throttle up and get airborne. I want to cover a trade. Again, if you're new to options, just kind of hang out with me and let me see if you can hang. All right. So already said the market is forward looking. It's looking all the way into the future and it sees goodness. Again, not too political, folks, but we're getting trade deals done. Everybody was panicking. Not everybody. I printed money, but I'm saying there were certain people out there who were panicking. Trump's gonna get us all killed. Wrong. Looks like the the kind of standard is taking shape here. Let me show you. Where's this? Yeah, we kind of break down right here. Brazil, Canada, EU, India, Mexico, South Korea. All these deals are in work right now. Take a look at this. The Wall Street Journal the other day. Why are stocks up? Nobody knows. A torrent of bad news hasn't been enough to sink the market. What are you talking about? Nobody knows. The Treasury Secretary actually responded to this article. If Wall Street Journal reporters actually covered the markets, they'd know why they're up. The one big beautiful bill prevented the largest tax hike in history and introduced economic drivers like full expensing, no tax on tips, and tax cuts for seniors. Pair that with deregulation. Folks, that doesn't get enough attention. I predicted this after Trump was reelected. I said, you know what? About 1% of GDP can be traced to deregulation. I'm old enough to remember being in the Board of Trade, ladies and gentlemen, and Dodd-Frank. Do you remember that? Franken-Dodd? When government stifles Wall Street, small businesses with burdensome regulation, you got to hire attorneys. It's a pain. Deregulation frees up capital and is extremely bullish. That doesn't get enough airtime, and I just gave you some. And the trillions in investments secured by the president, it's more than clear why the markets are responding the way they are. I love the Treasury Secretary. I think he's awesome. I think, when Trump or Powell's going to go on his own, Trump's not going to fire him. I think he should be the Fed chief. I think this guy's great. So let's go look at this headline. The U.S. economy is regaining its swagger. Oh, Wall Street Journal, I thought you said you didn't know why things are up. Do these reporters even talk to each other? The global economy is powering through a historic increase in tariffs. Oh, wow. Crazy. The NASDAQ 100 has gone 60 consecutive trading days, closing above its 20-day moving average. The longest streak since the 2000 dot-com bubble. Wow. Such a strong bullish run is truly historic. Now it's 62 days. The S&P has closed above the 20-day. What's the longest streak? 1964, 101 days. We might actually get there, folks. Risk appetite is through the roof. Call options, bullish. Man, speculation is back in full force. Now, that might not necessarily be a good thing. Here's what I wanted to really show you, though. I laugh at this. Institutional investors are still selling to retail. Look at this, folks. Institutional investors sold $800 million last week, building on $2.4 billion the week before. Look at this. Retail investors have been net buyers for 30 out of the last 32 weeks. Wall Street, smart money, legendary investor, versus Main Street continues. Guess what's going to happen here, folks? I've been on Wall Street. I paid bonuses. They panicked. All that smart money back here dumped it. Who bought it? Retail. So this rally is retail powered. Guess what's going to happen? The professional traders, folks, don't get paid for sitting in cash. At the end of the year, when I was running the bonus board at my firm in Chicago, how'd you do this year? Well, I sat in cash the whole time, Whiz. I'd be like, you're fired. Get out. So they are going to have to eventually get into this market. And guess what they're going to buy? The high-flying names. Folks, just like Gordon Gekko said in the movie Wall Street, money never sleeps, pal, right? So this right here is an incredibly bullish piece of intelligence. Institutional has been selling instead of buying. Now, some of you might say, well, that's because they see another implosion coming. On what? I just gave you on the black swan events that could cause the market to implode. Ain't none of them going to happen. Okay? So, and then finally, oh, wait, that was in Amazon. Jeff Bezos selling some shares. I covered that earlier in my brief. Okay, that's my That's my pitch for why I'm going to show you the trade I'm going to show you. Here we go. I call this trade bullish on Merica. Why? Because this is the type of trade that a Warren Buffett does. Okay. Out into the future, Warren Buffett is like an insurance guy for America. He will sell cash secured puts underneath the S&P 500. Where? About 20% down. Okay, why is my broker platform spinning here? Let me log out and log back in real quick. Sometimes right after market close, the platforms kind of hiccup. Let me close this, reopen. So I'm going to show you. This is what the smart money does. You want to know how the rich get richer? I'm about to show you. All right, let me get back into my E-Trade account here. See if it pops up. Or if it's going to take forever. Oh, there we go. All right, here we go. There we go. And there we go. So here's what I'm going to do. If you're new to options trading, just hang out with me for a little bit. I'm going to hop in my time machine and I'm going to fly all the way out as far as I can into the future. And that's the wrong name. Not Amazon, although I do have a ton of Amazon trades on. S&P 500. There it is. Let me get rid of these strikes, and do this. There we go. I just flew as far out into the future as I can on the S&P 500. Everybody see that? That is the expiration for 2030. This is the max as far into the future I can go. Okay? Let me clear that. I'm going to select that expiration, and I'm going to click all the strikes, right? Why? Because I want to go as high up as we can. The S&P 500 closed at 6,300 today. Does anybody think in the next, 5 years, 4.5 years, next 4.5 years, whatever, that the S&P 500 could potentially double? The answer is yes. Okay. And of course, these prices aren't working. This is the risk with doing a brief after market close. Come on, options prices. Let me try this other platform. Remind me next time to take a speaking slot during the trading day. Let's see if over on these options prices will come up. Let me deselect these. Maybe this will do it. See if the pricing starts populating here. And of course, it's not going to do it. Anybody else with E-Trade having any? Let me try and force this again. And that's just super. We might have to pick another name here that actually has option strikes, because it's going to show you. Did these populate yet? No. Try one more time. Go to SIBO. SIBO, all their options pricing populating. Back to SPX. Let's try that again. Come on, man. I don't want the August ones. I don't want those either. Yep, it's not going to work for SPX. Man, that really, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you this trade. It's in this video right here. It's only 18 minutes, folks. It's called Bullish on American Trade. I'll go pick Amazon or something like that, but S&P 500, folks. And I want you to, let me show you the risk on this trade. Let me get to like where the risk is. I want to show you on the Analyze tab right here real quick. Right there. This trade that I'm covering on this brief right here is risking 2,300 bucks to potentially make $98,000 in 5 years. There it is right there. Let me see if I can get to the, I'll analyze it. Let me see. 1 second. I don't like listening to my own voice, but there we go. Let me stop right here. Let me go max. So the trade I was going to show you, folks, risks 2,300 bucks to potentially make, if you'll allow me to round up, $98,000. How many of you would invest 2,300 bucks today in a trade to potentially make 98 grand? How do you make 98 grand? The S&P does what it's done since it's day one of the S&P 500. Okay. So my apologies that E-Trade, the options chain, isn't updating, but this is only, you can see it right here. See, it's an 18-minute video where I detail this trade. Let me give this to you. This one's on me. I'll go, you're actually getting bonus here because I'll give you the SPX trade right there. Folks, if you think that the S&P 500 is going to move up and to the right, not in a straight line like I already talked about, we're going to have some pullbacks, some bear markets, some whatever's, you could potentially make close to $100,000. Okay, let me show you. Where is that? Where's my? Let me model portfolio. I put this on. I didn't get filled on that original one, but I got filled on one a month ago. A bullish on Merica trade a month ago in our model portfolio. Let me pull that up. Wait. Not that one. Sorry, wrong portfolio. There we go. Let me show you this trade in the model portfolio. Account, positions, right there. Let me scroll down. Look at this trade. Let me show you here. Let me look around the highlighter here. You see the December 30. Look at this trade. It's up 213%, almost, if you'll allow me to round up, $25,000 already. Bullish on Merica trade. You have to get in it, folks. Just listen to me, okay? Bullish on Merica trade. Watch that 18-minute video, folks. For a small investment today, you can potentially make six figures over the coming years, okay? Now, as an options trader, let me tell you real quick, if you think the exact opposite's going to happen, Whiz, we ain't even going to be around in 5 years. War, famine, destruction. Do a bearish trade. You can do the exact opposite of what I'm telling you. But me, knowing markets for as long as I've known them, the S&P is going to do something like that over the next 5 years. Okay, so one more time. Limited investment, limited risk right now could potentially make six figures. This is a retirement trade, folks. This is let me bring up anybody see a trend on the 10-year chart of the S&P 500? How about all? Okay, so up and to the right over the next 5 years, potentially $98,000 for a couple grand today. That's a beautiful trade. Okay, let me go over to Amazon though. Let's see if I can get some options pricing on Amazon. I'm going to show you a similar type of long-term bullish trade. Let's bring the strikes down, not all of them. And let's go out to December of 2020. There we go. I'm getting some options pricing. Yay. I'll do an example on Amazon right now. So Amazon, again, moves up and to the right. Let's go take a look at that chart. Let's look at a 5-year chart. Rip your face off rally. There's the bear market, the Joe Biden S&P 500 down 25% by October 22nd. Since October 22nd of 2022, this stock hasn't looked back. Okay, there's the tariff craziness, and then we're going to rip. Amazon is ripping, folks. It's got earnings coming up next Thursday after market close. All right, here we go. I'm going to do what I said I was going to do with the S&P 500. I'm going to hop in my time machine and fly all the way out. As far out as I can go on Amazon is to December of 2027. Why? That's on Amazon and the SIBO. They come up with the option strikes, not Whiz. So I went out as far in time as I can to December of 2027, which is 876 days into the future. Now, if you listen to me and you're like, you know what, Wiz, you're right. Amazon is the Death Star. It's taken over everything. It's incredible. I love it. I want to buy 100 shares of Amazon today. Oh, really? Do you have $23,000 laying around to buy Amazon? No. And even if you did, do not spend $23,000 on Amazon to buy 100 shares today. You're a fool. Wait a minute, Wiz. You just sounded like you're really bullish. Let me save you about 20 grand right now. You ready? Watch this. Ladies and gentlemen, 100 shares of Amazon, right? Or we go all the way out to December of 2027. What did Amazon close at? 232 today? There's a 230 strike right here and a 235. Let's just pick the 230. I could buy one December of 2027 230 call contract. What does that mean? One options contract controls 100 shares of stock. So, first question, would you rather spend $23,000 to buy 100 shares, or would you rather spend $5,400 to control that same 100 shares? I know the answer. I'm not done yet. Let me teach you a little bit about options trading. Buying a call option, most of you know, is what? Bullish. I'm buying calls because I think it's going to go up. Somebody has to sell you that call. A call seller doesn't think it's going to go up, right? How about puts? Many of you who know little about options trading know at least that you've heard, hey, market's going to implode. I should buy some puts. So you know, even if you're new to options, that buying a put usually means you're what? Bearish. Somebody has to sell you that put. They are bullish. They don't think something is going to go down, so they will sell you. Okay? So watch what I'm going to do right now. I am going to sell the same strike 230 put. Buying a call is bullish. Selling a put is bullish. With the same expiration and same strike creates a tactic called synthetic stock. So originally, ladies and gentlemen, you were coming out of pocket $23,200 to buy 100 shares. Then I saved you what? 17 grand by just buying a call option. And then what did I do? I saved you another 3 grand. The price of this trade to control 100 shares of Amazon is $2,300. Now, if I could hear your golf claps, I'd appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, look at that. Now, some of you who are really smart on this screen looked over here and said, wow, Wiz, the max potential loss is about 25 grand. Hey, Chief, what's the max potential loss if you buy 100 shares and Amazon goes to zero in the next couple years? All of it. 23. So the risk of synthetic stock is just about the same risk as if you own the shares. But look at the probability. What's the probability for maximum loss? 0.00. There's probably 20 decimal points and a 1 out here. The odds of getting eaten by a golden retriever are never 0. But guess what I'm going to do? Because this is probably going to hit my margin like, oh man, I'm not going to need all of that in my account. I'm going to need a quarter of it or something like that. So watch what I'm going to do. What is a disaster with a stock or the market? Well, Wiz, if it goes down 20%, it's in a bear market. So I'm a political science major from South Jersey. I use simple math. Why don't we buy what I call a protective put or a disaster put 20% under the stock? Let me do some quick mental math. What is that? 180, 185. Why don't we buy a single I think it's 180, 185, 180 put. Now, the price of this trade went up a little bit. Why? Well, I'm buying insurance, man, to protect my Amazon and free up some margin. Now, my call sign's Whiz. It's not because I'm a wizard, but in this case, I'm a wizard. What were we risking just now in the synthetic stock trade? 25 grand. Now, what are we risking? 8. If you bought 100 shares of Amazon today, you're on the hook for 23 grand if it goes to zero. If you did the synthetic stock trade I'm showing you and Amazon goes to zero in the next 2 years, what do you lose? That. Would you rather lose 23 grand or 8,600 bucks? I know the answer. So one more time, folks, I can never understand why people trade stocks. What are you doing? I have freed up the original buying 100 shares with 23 grand. Just allow me to use round numbers. I saved you 20 grand like I promised you. On your screen right now is a tactic called synthetic stock with a protective put. Isn't this incredible? I'm not done yet. I could sell what I call a front month. What's the front month? You're sitting in the front month, July, August, September. Out to Friday, what's the stock at? 232. I could sell a call out to this Friday, tomorrow, and bring in a little cash. Why don't I do like an at the money call, 232 and a half? Look at what I just did. I'm bringing in, what's in between these two? I'm bringing in 119 bucks. If Amazon closes below 232 and a half tomorrow, I keep the 100 bucks regardless. What did that just do? It lowered my cost basis by 119 bucks or whatever. So ladies and gentlemen, you could sell weekly calls against this position every week and pay off the damn synthetic stock, man. I wouldn't do that every week. Like what? My rule of thumb is when something is on a tear, either join it or get out of the way. What's been on a tear lately? SIBO, CBOE. Take a look at SIBO. I had some short calls on at the 240 strike that I had to close today. Yeah, look, let me drop my lines in here. 242 and a half, and then 245. So when something is on a tear, either join it or get out of the way. So in this case, stop selling calls against it. You're going to get blown out. Okay? But I just want to show you for demonstration purposes that this is how I can manage this trade. I could sell some calls in the front month against this and bring in money. Isn't that awesome? I'm cheap. I like having other people help me pay for these trades. Okay? Synthetic stock, ladies and gentlemen, with a protective put, and you got a short call on it, right? Isn't this awesome? Awesome, Eric. Kathy, no. What's the capital required for this trade? It depends on your margin requirement, but with this, I think in my account, I need about 2 grand in my account to do this trade. You gotta look at your account. Okay, I don't know what your margin requirements are or anything like that. If you wanted to buy 100 shares of it, you'd be on the hook. You need the 23 grand in there unless you're on a margin account. Okay, does that make sense? And I got to be honest with you, folks. I'm always honest with you. Let me get rid of this. I don't, in my personal accounts, put on the disaster put. Why? Because I have enough cash in most of them. I don't need that protection, quote unquote. First of all, you don't do synthetic stock on names that aren't going to go up and right over the coming years, right? These aren't gambling. This is one of my personal accounts here. Look at my synthetic stock trades. Bank of America, 79%. SIBO is up 133%. My JP Morgan synthetic stock is up 98%. Bank of America not going out of business anytime soon. SIBO not going out of business anytime soon. JP Morgan not going out of business anytime soon. Amazon not going out of business anytime soon. If you don't need, if you have a portfolio margining account or something like that, you might not need to do the disaster put. Does that make sense? Okay. So Kathy, I just give your broker a call and say, or what was that candle? Holy, was that at the close? Right going into the close here. Amazon popped for some reason. That's really weird. So what if if I just did long, I went to Kathy, I called this a tick decision. You're the trader in command, right? We are all single seat fighter pilots. We are all single seat traders. In aviation, you're called the PIC, the pilot in command. I use tick. You're a trader in command. I'm teaching you to be a single seat options trader, fighter pilot. Okay. But I just showed you my personal account, my SIBO, my Bank of America, my JP Morgan, my Amazon synthetic stocks are printing money. And these are years into the future, folks. So as these long-term bullish trades into the future are printing money in the background, I'm trading the front months here. I got a bull put spread on Amazon here. Where is it? Right here. That's up 62%. That expires in a couple weeks. So I do both. I have long-term bullish trades on all the way out into the future, a couple years, and then I have on my front month trades as well too. And what time is it? Oh, I got to get going here, folks. I'm going to rip through this. You have got to buy MindMed with both hands. I told members 2 weeks ago to buy MindMed. It is up 55%. MindMed, publicly traded psychedelic company, it is going to quadruple. The other one is a tie. Write these down. ATAI. I said to get long this 2 months ago. From there to there, a tie is up 190%. You're welcome. Cybin is another name. Write all these down. And Compass. CMPS. These are the 4 publicly traded psychedelic names that I would trade. Okay. And I'll tell you how to join right now, but you got to check out our psychedelic trading. It's right here. So yesterday, I put out a video. You see this video down here? It covers what I just did in 1 minute. All 4 of the psychedelic names that you should buy with both hands. These are all free videos right here, but let me tell you how you can join. But I'll give you scroll down to this video right here to watch for my psychedelic trades. Okay. Right there. Okay. Barb, just for the sake of time, I only got a couple minutes left. I just gave you this page, all the psychedelic names I cover in this video right here. You're going to love it. This sector is exploding. The Make America Healthy Again sector. Let me scroll down. Where's my Maha? Whatever. All right. So real quick, folks, if you like what I just showed you with Amazon, every Monday at 10 a.m., we have what is called a solo Amazon brief. It's only $97 a month, folks. That's a bad bottle of wine. Or you get 2 months included if you do an annual, okay? So if you want to kind of dip your toe into, hey, I kind of like this guy. It was only our presentation. I want to check him out a little bit more. It's $97, folks, okay? $97. And oh, by the way, you get your manuals included. They're $197. So if you do some math real quick, guess what? You're making or saving $100. Okay. So that's called solo Amazon. Every Monday, 10 a.m., I only trade Amazon. Okay. And if you have questions about that synthetic stock, you can join now and I'll answer all your questions Monday. Or if you want to go full throttle, this is a lot more in depth. That bullish on America trade that I showed you, that was placed what, a month and a half ago that's up over 10 grand. I do all of that in our full throttle training. The trial, quote unquote, is $295 a month, or you make a lot more money or save a lot more money by doing the annual at $29.95. I can give you the link to that one too as well. Love what we do here, Top Gun Options. Barb, Cybin, CYBN. CYBN. Cybin. That's short for psilocybin. Compass, CMPS. This one is ripping. Atai, ATAI. And finally, MindMed, MNMD. The psychedelic names are printing money. Look what was in the Wall Street Journal a week ago or so. The Maha movement loves psychedelics. Should Wall Street? Yes. Let me I'll gift you this article. Read this. Through the No Fallen Heroes Foundation, let me show you something real quick, and then we can call it Miller time. 2 months ago, ladies and gentlemen, I flew to Washington, and I met with the VA Secretary, Secretary Collins, and talked about psychedelic-assisted therapy for our heroes. Let me give you this link to my Instagram so you can check this out. Psychedelic-assisted therapy saved and changed my life, folks. The VA Secretary, Secretary Kennedy. This is an incredible video with Secretary Kennedy. Very heartwarming. So he was asked about psychedelics, and he said, I got to be honest with you, man. I'm a recovering alcoholic and heroin addict. Psychedelics sounded like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And then his wife in 2012 took her own life. And he said, one of my sons was next. He could not deal with the loss of his mom. I was certain he was going to kill himself. One of his best friends put him on a plane to Peru. They went and did psychedelic assisted therapy. And when he got off the airplane and I saw him, I knew I got my son back. You have got to watch this video. It'll bring tears to your eyes. So I have never been more bullish on the psychedelic sector. I thought Democrats were already there. Kathy, that's great to read. My son too. This is a blessing for humanity. Amen, folks. And trust me, 5 years ago, Whiz, if I heard me on a trade brief talking about psychedelics, I would have kicked my own rear end. That guy died on the floor of a home in Mexico, and it saved and changed my life. That's the main reason I'm bullish on this sector, is because I know it works. Okay. So that's why I got home and started the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. And we are look at this the other day. Where's the mushroom article? You see headlines like this, folks. Psychedelics may slow aging at the cellular level. I'm telling you, after I did this medicine, I was a different human being, ladies and gentlemen. And it is just, look at this. JFK says Trump administration could provide psychedelic therapy to military veterans within 12 months. All of those names that I just covered, you're going to kick yourself if you don't invest in them. About a year from now, you're going to see on CNBC, breaking news, MindMed was acquired by Pfizer. The stock is up 500% in after-hours trading. Because listen to me, folks, and then I'll end on this. Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, Janssen, they are not going to let these little publicly traded psychedelic companies come out and heal everybody. 2 years ago, I stopped going to DC up until the VA secretary invited me recently. Why? Because 3 years ago, I went to DC and I met with a congressman who shall remain nameless behind closed doors. He looked me dead in the eyes and he said, Whiz, I love what you're doing. And I said, okay, great. He said, well, you're going to have a problem with the big pharma and the alcohol and the tobacco folks. And I was like, what are you talking about? Isn't that your job? So I don't want this to happen, but I guarantee you this is going to happen. All of these names are going to be scooped up by bad people. Let me show you something real quick, and then I'm going to end on this note because this always freaks people or pisses people off. The medicine that I did is called a Schedule 1 drug. What's the definition of a Schedule 1 drug in this country? No therapeutic use and a high risk of addiction. I just defined alcohol and tobacco. 100% legal. The medicine that I did that saved my life is a felony. It was the most therapeutic thing I've done in my life, and it destroyed alcohol. Legal, felony. Follow the money, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want this to happen, but Big Pharma is going to scoop in and buy all those companies. I do want that to happen as an investor in these names, though, because I'm going to be a hell of a lot even more richer than I am right now. But it'll be easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. So my wife and I take most of the money that we make. Obviously, we keep a little to live. We throw it over the fence into our foundation, our nonprofit, the No Fallen Heroes Foundation, where we give healing grants to veterans, first responders, and their family members to sit with these medicines. Didn't think you'd come to a trade brief and hear a lot of that stuff, did you? Right? So, but that's how the universe, creation, God, divine, Mother Earth works, right? So, cool. Any other questions, David? Or I put the links in the chat box there. Full Throttle annually is $29.95. If you want to kick the tires with Full Throttle, it's only $2.95. Solo Amazon, what do? We only trade Amazon. That's why it's a lot cheaper. It's one stock, and it's technically the only stock you need to trade for the rest of your life because it's the Death Star and it is good to go. Okay? Awesome. If you ever have any questions for me, you're always free to reach out. Whiz, WHIZ, at nofallenheroes.com. I'm always available, especially if you want to talk about healing, psychedelics, or any of that stuff. If you want to talk about trading, you got to join. So you can talk to me about trading all the time in one of our investment groups right here, man. The Hunters or the Max Afterburner Lifetime team, right? Over here in the Max Afterburner team, we have 275 members. Over here in our solo Amazon service, we have 630 members down there. So good stuff. I love a meandering live trade brief. I'm actually glad the SPX call options didn't come up. Remember, I gave you access to that video for free. Go watch this 18-minute video, and it'll show you how $2,300 could potentially equal 98 grand years into the future if the S&P 500 keeps moving up and to the right, which I'm pretty damn sure it's going to do. All right, folks. Thanks for having me, David. Love coming and presenting and talking to you. Appreciate your flexibility. David had me earlier today, and I had a conflict. I had one of my own live trade briefs, and he took the time to move me to the back here. So I appreciate your flexibility, David. Other than that, everybody else, have a great rest of your day. Fights on, and namaste. God bless. I'll talk to you all later.